Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Veganuary, it's almost here. So I wanted to give you guys some tips for Veganuary this year, just if you've decided that it's something you want to do. So my first tip is going to be to not be too hard on yourself. So if you do eat some non-vegan food, that's fine. Just keep going. Don't let that destroy everything you've done so far in the month. So if you do have something, don't be too hard on yourself. It's fine, especially if it's something accidental, like if you've ate something that has milk as a component inside, like an ingredient inside. Don't stress, it's fine. My second tip is to take small steps. So if you do feel like, oh, I don't think I could do Veganuary, like I think that's too many changes to my diet at once, that's fine. Maybe like cut out one type of meat for this year. So maybe cut out red meat, and then a few weeks later maybe decide, okay, maybe I'll cut out white meat as well, or maybe just cut out meat altogether, keep the dairy in, or vice versa, cut out the dairy, keep the meat in. Whichever way around you think it would be easier for you. Take it slowly, like small steps are still steps. My third tip is going to be to make sure you actually buy alternatives for things so you don't feel like you're missing out on food. So for example, cheese, my biggest recommendation would be Violife cheese. Some vegan cheeses are not nice, but I think some normal cheeses aren't nice, so maybe that's what they're going for. But yeah, make sure you do buy some alternatives. Buy yourself some dairy-free chocolate, buy yourself some biscuits. FYI, quite a lot of biscuits are actually vegan, like most brands of bourbons, ginger biscuits, some digestives, some of those, what are those, hobnobs? Yeah, hobnobs. Some of them, obviously not the chocolate ones. Oreos, so like buy yourself some sweet treats, because I feel like if you have a sweet tooth as well, that's probably where you're going to fall down. Buy yourself some meat alternatives, so you've got like Linda McCartney sausages, there's loads of other brands, but I think they're the nicest. And there's obviously like mince, so you can get corn mince. A lot of supermarkets do their own brands if you want it to be cheaper. Corn chicken, there's literally everything now as well. There's even like duck, meatballs, there's never ending choices. Also, make sure you plan some meal ideas. So for example, just find some recipes. I believe the Veganuary website, I know a few years ago they had a thing where if you put your email in, they actually emailed you like a big book of recipes, which is perfect. But if not, just search vegan recipes online, like there's so many. So if you know what you're going to eat, you're less likely to go off track. Another tip is going to be to check menus before you go out for meals. I just think this is super helpful, because if you know that there's something good and vegan that you want to eat at that restaurant, you're not going to have to worry about it. And especially if you can then pick the restaurant based on that. So for example, with my friends, I've been vegan for like maybe 3 years now, something like that. And it's so funny because when we go for food, they're always like, you pick the restaurant. I'm like, okay, I win. But to be honest, in England, most restaurants do a vegan alternative on the menu. I think just because it's like a more popular thing now, so they know it's going to make people like me go. And yeah, I know in other countries it is a bit more difficult. Like surprisingly, when I was in America, it was actually quite hard. Like a lot of places just did not have vegan, like they would have a vegetarian option. And that's another tip as well. A lot of the time, some things will say they're vegetarian, and just read through, because sometimes they are vegan, they've just not labelled it as being that. Or sometimes there'll be like one thing that makes it not vegan. So quite often, say a meze board, everything would be vegan and there'll be one thing, so there might be maybe some like halloumi on there. So just say, oh, can I have that without the halloumi? Or even ask to see the dietary requirement book thing. Every restaurant has one. So anyway, do that. Another tip is going to be to carry your own snacks with you, especially at this time of year. There's probably a box of chocolates hanging around in the office, at work. There's probably the same at home when you go visit friends, and it is so tempting sometimes. So pop your own like vegan chocolate bar, or like a Trek bar. I really recommend Trek bars, by the way. 10 out of 10. Or like fruit or whatever you like to snack on in your bag, so that when you get hungry, you're not just tempted to like have a little one. Another tip is going to be to encourage other people around you to do it. So whether it's the people that live in your house, your friends, because it is going to be easier if people around you are doing it too, because they're not going to be like, should we just go to Miller and Carter and get a steak? No, let's not. And also just cooking wise, and especially with your family, you can just say to them, right, I'm going to cook us vegan meals, and they can eat what they want the rest of the time, really. But it's nice to have, if they do really like think it's a good idea, it's cool if you all get into it, because it's nice having other people around you doing it. Like I love the fact that me and my boyfriend, we both have vegan meals all the time. It's so much easier, because I think if I was with someone who didn't do that, I'd be like The tip is going to be to make sure that you're eating enough protein and enough calories. So a lot of people go wrong with starting to eat vegan because they'll literally only eat fruit and vegetables and salad, and that's just not enough, and it's not going to fill you up. You need to make sure you're getting sources of protein, so whether it is those sources of alternative meats that I mentioned, or whether it is tofu, chickpeas, like beans, lentils, there's so many choices. Just make sure you're swapping out what would have been meat for that, and you ideally want to have a source of protein in every single meal. So yeah, protein's super important. Make sure you're eating enough calories, because eating a salad for every meal is just not the way forward. My final tip is just going to be to not give up. So just stay super positive about it. If you do go off the rails, that's fine. Off the rails, is that a good way to put it? I don't know. But if you do go off track, just try and get back to it as soon as you can. It's totally fine to stop. Just think about, by not having like those animal products, you're making such a big difference to even just for 1 month, you're making such a big difference to like the environment, to the ethics of the animals, and you've just got to think of it that way and not be demotivated if you do eat something, because it's a big change to make. But it doesn't need to be super hard, but just don't be hard on yourself if you do go wrong. And also, well done for even thinking about trying to do this. So, okay, well done. Go you. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.